Hey everyone, so I just wanted to talk about some quick Fortnite news going on. It looks like Chapter 2 Season 2 is delayed yet again, and it's going to be delayed all the way to February 20th of next month. Now, this is actually going to be the longest season, I believe, in Fortnite. Like, it's been a couple months now, I believe 4 or 5 months, since Chapter 2 came out. And usually the seasons end every couple weeks with new features, new add-ons, new skins, new everything kind of to refreshen the game every couple weeks. But with it being this long, people have been kind of wondering and speculating. And so the first source that we actually find out about the delays is actually from a hacker who had went into the game files and had noticed that the actual date for the next season was changed to February 20th. So Epic followed up with a statement regarding this. They said, beginning with the release of the 11.50 update in early February, Fortnite will be moving to the Unreal Engine's Chaos Physics engine. At launch, the goal is to ensure that Fortnite still feels like Fortnite. Along the way, there will be some bumps, so we're starting tests with a small group of players. We'll also closely monitor feedback and make improvements over time. And to be honest, hearing this does make sense. It does take time to move a game over to a whole different physics engine, and you have to think of this game in a different sense than other games. These things come into play specifically when you are making a game as a service and you want to keep this continuously going, right? So you want this to be going for years at a time. At some point, the graphics are going to look old, they're going to look stale, your game is going to be old. It's always going to need some sort of refresh. So if you're having a games as a service, doing this makes the most sense. Like imagine, if Fortnite was going into 2022, 2023, with the same graphics. Granted, those Disney style Pixar like type graphics are great. They're not as much processing power, but still having just a little bit more, better lighting, better physics, just small things like that are always going to give that little bump for the game in the future. This is one of the best things that you could do for the game because the game has been out for a while now. And even when they were making the game back in 2014, 2015, before the idea of putting in Battle Royale, the game definitely looked different than what it was. But I always think that their refresh of what they did to give it a little bit more of a cartoony look definitely worked. So having some sort of physics be different, having anything be different with graphics over time, or just anything as far as the physics, graphics, or how the game plays over time, and having those tweaks done over time is pretty important. So I was looking at the Chaos Destruction engine and it looks pretty dope. Essentially, this engine is a new high performance engine for specifically destruction and building destruction. So I'm definitely curious as to seeing what's going to happen in Fortnite when a building goes down, or when zombies attack a building, or when you shoot down a building, or when you or when you take down a vehicle. I just am very curious as to what type of physics animations they're going to be doing for buildings, for cars, just certain things along those lines. It's going to be quite interesting. And just going through the creative destruction overview, they kind of give you a good overview, basically, of what shapes and geometry collections you can have, the best practices that you would have, how to basically assign your materials to a model, so that they basically look like this. You're basically looking at seeing like different structures within your object and seeing what physics can happen with that. I think this is pretty cool. Basically allowing to have different geometry assets and having them so that different things occur within your one whole object, but different structures within there and having different physics for that. I think that's pretty cool. Of course, I'm not a developer of video games for me to really know any of this. I've seen some of this type of stuff before, but to be honest, it's like way beyond me. But if I ever had the time, or if anyone ever has the time, you can actually, I believe, download this from GitHub and try this out on your Unreal Engine to kind of get an overview of what Fortnite may have to offer in the future. Alright guys, and in some other news, apparently someone had leaked a map of the Fortnite Season 2 map for what's coming out next month. I don't believe it, but we'll take a look here and we'll get into the details and see if there's some sort of legitimacy or not. So I wouldn't really go into believing this too much because the source really came from 4chan, and when you start hearing 4chan, you really should take things with a grain of salt. But since it's made its way to Twitter and people are talking about it, I figured I'd show you guys as well, and you can make your own decision. So basically what's circulating is these two photos that are very blurry, and one of them seems to be like a cinematic of something that's coming out for the next season, and the other looks like the map or like part of the map for the next season that's coming out as well. And just looking at the picture here, this just doesn't look like what Fortnite would really be drawn as. I mean, I can't tell. Let's do a quick comparison. As I look at it, actually, I don't know. I mean, looking at it at certain points, it kind of seems like that would be the map. Yeah. That actually looks more so like the map, actually, looking at it. It really just is blurry. At first, when I was looking at it, it didn't seem like the map, but carefully looking at this map compared to the other one, this does kind of seem like it. So let's see what changes are actually apparent here that are a little different. As I can easily see from the top of the map here, you can easily see this section on the top right is actually a little different here. Actually, the right side, to be honest, kind of just looks different if you look at it. The top, even the middle here, and the bottom. Oh no, the bottom kind of looks the same. The bottom does look the same there. So if that's the case, for the most part, it's only like the top, really, that looks any different. But apparently, from what others see, there are 3 things that have changed in the map, which is Misty Meadows, Slurry Swamp, and Steamy Stacks. It still doesn't really tell us much because it's blurry, and the cinematic doesn't really tell us much, but I mean, the cinematic is kind of what you would like expect. The cinematic is kind of drawn how they would look, so it's hard for me to not assume that this isn't real. Like, it's actually really tough. Like, I didn't personally believe it was real, but now looking at the picture and comparing it to the actual map, and then looking at the way this is drawn, this could be a cinematic. It just kind of is hard to tell. So we'll really have to see from here. At first I didn't kind of believe it, but now looking at it, it is tough to see that. And the map just doesn't look like there's really much change for me to really believe that there's something really going on there. But we'll see. We'll see. And one thing that kind of gets to me is they say that the leaker didn't get this from the game files. This kind of makes some sense to me. I don't actually go through the game files myself to see if there is cinematic movie data in there. There could be, but I thought it was actual like movie files. I could be wrong on that. So to me, I just never pulled any cinematic data from there. So this makes sense that it wouldn't have came from there. Also, the map to me doesn't make any sense. I haven't ever seen a map come from the .pack files myself. But it's not like I've ever looked for that stuff to begin with, so it could be there. But it was interesting that they mentioned specifically that they didn't get it from the Fortnite files. It does make you wonder where they got it from. I mean, who knows? You know, they probably got it from some business meeting at Epic, and they already were getting ready and ramping up to be able to promote the second one. Or the advertising side of Epic probably leaked something because someone was working in advertising and got a little bit of extra stuff. Because, you know, you would advertise the new map and you would advertise the new cinematics. So it could be from that side. But we'll see as time goes on. Alright, you guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give a thumbs up. And if you didn't, please tell me what we can do to make it better. Other than that, I hope your week's going well, and we'll see you next time.